Imagine you're a child again. A child who has never been away from home before. Not for one single day. When I was 10 years old, my mother decided she could no longer afford to keep me. I was sent away from the little house in Portsmouth where I had been born, far away to live with my wealthy aunts Lady Bertram and Aunt Norris at Mansfield Park. I had already been taught to be good. Now I was told I must never forget to be grateful. But for a long time, I was only timid and unhappy.
We should no doubt prepare ourselves for an ignorant child with vulgar manners. But these are not incurable faults.
I trust you approve a well-disposed girl with more sense than our poor dear sister.
Our sister has enough sense to send her daughter to us.
Being with her cousins will be an education in itself. I only hope she'll not tease poor Pug. I've but just got Julia to leave it alone. Come, Fanny, and meet your cousins. This is Mariah, and if I were to teach you nothing, still you would learn to be good and clever from her. Julia, Tom, and Edmund.
How do you do?
Come meet your uncle, Sir Thomas, and your aunt, Lady Bertram.
Jar must be tired after so long a journey. Sit here beside your aunt. Edmund, give your cousin a slice of gooseberry tart.
This is not a very promising beginning.
I missed my noisy, merry brothers and sisters and the rough and tumble of my own home. No one meant to be unkind, but I was the poor relation, and I was often made to feel it. Only Edmund put himself out to secure my happiness. He became my one true friend. And as the years passed, I came to love him as more than a cousin.
Edmund? Fanny?
Excuse me, Aunt Norris. Sir Thomas wishes to see us.
I'm not at all happy at having to leave Mansfield for so long, but it cannot be avoided. Our affairs in the West Indies do not prosper. I expect you to behave with proper decorum while I'm away. Of you, Mariah, I ask only that your marriage to Mr. Rushworth should not take place before my return.
Then your return cannot be too soon for me, Sir Thomas.
Julia, I give you over to your Aunt Norris' care. Edmund, I believe I may trust you to your own judgment.
Yes, sir.
Tom, here is the chance to prove yourself.
I hope so, sir.
Ah, Fanny, there was something I meant to say to you. Should your brother's ship be in England, I hope you will invite him to Mansfield.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
I had hoped Winnie would find his sister at 18 much changed from his sister at 10. But I fear he will not.
With Sir Thomas's departure, it was as if a cloud had been lifted from Mansfield Park. Even for me, there was a spirit of newfound freedom. I was 18, it was summer, and I had never been happier.
I thought Aunt Norris was never going to let me out.
How did you get away?
I told her I had a very tedious errand from my cousin.
I forgot. Pick this for you. If Rushworth didn't have 12,000 a year, what a very stupid fellow he'd be.
Luckily for him, he has.
I've had a letter from my brother Tom. He's staying on in town. Just what my father was afraid of. Tom's whole life has turned into one long party. I'm left to deal with everything.
Oh, I think it suits you very well. Besides, it's not all work. And I know this doesn't count, but I was never happier.
I'll race you.
Come on!
In my innocence, I imagined I would be happy always. Then with the sudden brilliance of lightning, fresh from the pleasures of London's fashionable society, Mary Crawford and her brother Henry arrived in our lives. Life at Mansfield Park would never be the same again.
What fine neighbours we have. This is where we shall begin, with the Bertrams. A county with such a house in it cannot be all deadly dull.
That will depend on the deadliness of its occupants.
There are 4 children.
Oh, no, children, please.
All now grown up and highly eligible. There is a younger son, but for myself, I have chosen the elder.
The heir? You always do.
Even I couldn't think myself thrown away on the eldest son of a baronet.
So, dearest minx, what is your strategy?
Tut. No strategy, only the use of our natural powers.
Now they are doomed.
And you, Henry? You shall marry the younger Miss Bertram, the beautiful and eligible Julia.
We've been in a bad school for matrimony.
That I will allow. Marriage, as we've seen it, is all deceit and disappointment.
Oh, then there's at least one advantage to bad schooling. Are we not more likely to deceive than to be disappointed?
Here they are. One can always rely on fashionable people to be half an hour late.
Well, they don't have far to come.
I can't imagine a country cottage will amuse them for long.
Indeed. Their mother, dear creature, could not endure it above a week. They were pretty as children. How do they look now?
Well, Miss Crawford may have the London style, but her prettiness does our girls no disservice. She's altogether too small and too brown. And her brother, my dear, his income may be satisfactory, but his plain, very plain.
On the subject of Mr. Crawford's plainness, we must allow Julia to be the judge. I'm sorry that the rest of my family are not here to greet you, Miss Crawford.
Your eldest son is not with you, Lady Bertram?
Since his father has been gone, Tom prefers London or Newmarket to Mansfield.
I do feel for you, Lady Bertram.
Has Sir Thomas encountered difficulties in Antigua?
It is, I believe, extremely hot.
Circumstances in the West Indies are much less favourable than before, Mr. Crawford.
I did not at all like to have Sir Thomas leave me, but I have been astonished at how well Edmund supplies his place in carving, in settling with the servants. I take his advice in everything.
Well, then perhaps Mr. Bertram may advise me.
How might I advise you, Miss Crawford?
I'm assured that my harp has arrived safe in Northampton. But do you think I can hire a cart to convey it here? No, I cannot.
You would find it difficult, Miss Crawford, to hire a horse and cart just now, in the middle of harvest.
I expect I should understand you in time. But coming from London, where everything can be got with money, I'm quite put out by your country ways.
You could not be expected to have thought of it before, Miss Crawford, but once you do, you must see the importance of getting in the grass.
Anyone for more lemonade?
Our one disadvantage, Miss Crawford, is that Mariah's wedding has to wait until after Christmas for our father's return. January is a very disagreeable month in which to marry.
It is surely the most difficult month in which to make such a long sea voyage. Though I have taken certain measures to spare Lady Bertram the worst, by ensuring that I am the first person to be acquainted with any fatal catastrophe.
My stepfather, the Admiral, ma'am, once made a winter crossing in such mild weather, the voyage took a whole month longer than expected. In Sir Thomas's case, We will hope for a happy compromise between speed and safety.
How very well you put it, Mr. Crawford.
Indeed. And if it is Sir Thomas's fate never to return, it shall be particularly consoling to see our darling Maria settled in such a great match. Maria is without her parasol. Fanny.
Maria catches a headache, we shall all suffer.
This is perfect. I'm tempted to call it too perfect. If this were mine, I would introduce an element of the unexpected, of romance. A ruined castle, perhaps.
We have no castle to ruin, sir.
That is only pretense, Miss Julia. One builds in ruins at the same time. Allow me.
Allow me.
Oh, my ankle.
Here.
Thank you.
One is reminded.
If Mansfield were mine, I should add a folly.
Now that I look at it objectively, Miss Crawford, I like what I see too much to want to change it.
Come, Edmund. You must surely fancy a little chapel.
Why in heaven would Mr. Bertram want a chapel? Does he enjoy forcing ladies out of their bed early in order to kneel on a stone floor? Especially unpleasant if the poor chaplain isn't worth looking at.
I am shortly to be ordained as a clergyman, Miss Crawford.
Well, then you must forgive my pleasantries, Mr. Bertram. I did not know.
Miss Crawford has been telling me why they're here. My dear, they're not here for the view. The fact is, she cannot possibly go back to the London house with her stepfather. A week ago, the Admiral installed his mistress under his own family roof.
Well, I'm not at all surprised. Well, I have the highest regard for the Navy, but, well, one has only to think of Lord Nelson.
Very disagreeable birds.
I rather think Julia's ready to be fallen in love with.
You're telling me that you don't like it when it follows down. I like your Miss Bertrams exceedingly.
They give themselves no airs.
No. Their vanity is in such good order, they seem quite free of it.
Last year's style, of course. They're not hurt by what they don't know. And you like Julia best?
Ah, yes. You know, when we arrived, I mistook little Miss Price for a servant and gave her my hat.
Do you really like Julia best? Maria is generally thought the handsomer.
So I should suppose.
Poor Julia couldn't choose her nose. If she could, I doubt her taste would improve on it. But she is charming. The sisters are different, but equally charming.
They are.
And charmed. I think you might have popped them both under your arm and run off with them.
Both.
Either.